I'm recording this way later in the day than I planned. But as usual on Mondays, I'm doing a little bit of a health and fitness check-in, which feels weird because there's so much to catch up on that's not this right now, which has been some of the hard part of having a weight loss journey online, is that my channel especially is not a weight loss and fitness channel. It's not a channel focused specifically on a weight loss journey. It's a channel about van life or vehicle dwelling. But the weird thing is this channel has evolved in all kinds of ways that I kind of didn't predict. So that has been a very interesting part of the whole thing. I'm trying to make that shift back to my normal video style, and obviously, like this past week, all I've been doing is driving back to Berkeley from Oklahoma, and before that, I obviously, for people who've joined my channel recently, I was most recently in Oklahoma for a YouTube meetup, and then I ended up meeting the Crockers and hanging out with them for like a week, and then I continued my journey home. I had been on the East Coast, which is where I used to live, and after I wrapped up my business there, I proceeded to go west again, and with the exception of that pause in Oklahoma, I've just been busy driving home. I made a goal last week that I would avoid gas station stops as much as possible, only to get gas and then get out of there and not go into gas stations and be drawn to snacks that I shouldn't eat. I was semi-successful in that I finally walked into one, and what I did, if I could not find a healthy choice, I told myself the only thing I was going to get was a bottle of water and walk out. And I was able to do that, and I even posted about it on Instagram when I did it. Speaking of Instagram, a lot of people have been saying, it'd be nice to like see more of what's going on a daily basis. I don't want to incorporate too much of that into this channel because, again, it is not like a fitness and weight loss channel. It's not the primary content. So what I am doing is I'm starting to put more of that on Instagram for people who kind of want to see more of those like day in the life, slice of life pieces that relate to this journey in particular. It's really hard because for me, it's all kind of one thing. I live in a van and I am trying to lose weight. I have limitations on some of the suggestions that sometimes come my way because I live in a van, and I can tell a lot of these suggestions are coming from people who have full-size fridge and full kitchens. And I can't, sometimes I'm like, that's just not logical. It's not something I can see me having time, space, or equipment to do while I am living out of a van with limited resources. I mean, that's just a reality of it. So what I decided right now is, well, I didn't decide it right now. I've been thinking about it, is I am going to start to switch up the format of these health and fitness check-ins, but I am not stopping them because I think even when I get off track, the thing that's pulling me back is knowing I'm going to have this conversation every single Monday. And it's really the conversation that has been the most valuable, more than anything. That this is a continuing conversation about the struggle through, doing the weight loss, which is a word I've run away from quite a bit, because I don't want the weight loss to become more important than the health, for me. I want to make sure I stay focused, but at the same time, to say that weight loss isn't a part of the goal would be a lie. But I found like right at the beginning when I was just trying to change habits, having people really harp on how fast I was or wasn't losing weight was highly stressful. I was so far from my goal that I saw as like a year to maybe 2 year out, like my full, I did this goal, I was like that maybe 1 to 2 years out. So that's not something I can think about right now. Right now I want to think about, am I making the right choices? Am I doing the right thing? So the funniest accusation that I've had from posting my journey online is that I've been faking my workouts. And I found this hilarious. Like, somebody actually thinks that I dragged fitness equipment all the way across the country and back, that I inflated like exercise balls and like dragged out like hand weights just to fake my exercises. I mean, like, that just seems ridiculous to me, and people are going to believe what they believe, but I just thought that was hilarious. Like, you literally think I'm taking up massive amounts of room in my van to fake exercising on a video. Like, that's just ridiculous to me. I see no value in that. And really, that's been the hard part of slow weight loss, because my weight loss has been coming like so slow, and then it stalled, and then I gained. Because it's been so slow, I am the person actually doing this, and I feel like a phony all the time. I'm like, is this journey even legitimate anymore? And I've been driven at times to even like pull it off my channel. But the craziest thing about being accused of like faking my exercise is that these are literally my worst performing videos, because this channel is not about health and fitness and weight loss. It's not a weight loss journey channel. It's just something I added because it is a part of my van life, and it is something I absolutely want to continue to try to pursue so that life can be better. So with all that said, let's get to the point of this video, because now I've wasted the beginning of the video not getting to the 4 things that I want to talk about the difficulty of doing this weight loss journey online. So the first one I am kind of talking about, and that's the fact that you can feel like and I am looking at my notes because I wrote this stuff down. It said, you can feel like you are failing even when you're succeeding. If I look at my overall trends since I started, which was back in April, so April, May, June, July, August, September, October. So it's been almost 7 months. And the only thing I've done is gone down from a 3X to a 2X, which is still a large person, like 2X to 3X. It's something you really can't see on a daily. Now, when I stand on scale, obviously the number says you've gone down. I'm now I started over 300 pounds. I was 321, I think, was my highest weigh-in. And then now I was in the 280s, and I went back up to 290-ish the last time I weighed in. I don't even remember when that was. Oh my gosh, my throat. I need to grab some water, guys. Had to grab this. Sorry, everybody. I needed some water. My throat was doing terrible. But going back to the feel like you're failing even when you're succeeding, like I said, the last time I weighed in, which I did on video, I had gone back up into the 290s, and I really just emotionally was crushed by finding out that information. But I knew I had very much slipped into some bad habits while I was in Baltimore. And since then, I've been working on remodifying habits. Also, I knew a lot of that was triggered by stress. So on the way back to Berkeley, I reached a point where I said, Dawn, you need to take that stress away. And so just to not add more stress, I was like, you can't do a concentrated workout. Like, you don't have time. And the goal that you need to prioritize is getting back to Berkeley so that you can settle down for a little bit. And that's just facts. Berkeley is where I can really just settle down, take time. I don't have to be stressed about, a number of things once I'm back in Berkeley, which is kind of my home base. It's my reset space. And so I knew I needed to concentrate on just getting there so I could get myself back into a routine that wasn't being stressed by having to knock out miles or space between points A and B. And so I just took some of that stress out. But it did feel like I was adding to that failure. Like, I never felt good about it. I still don't feel good about it. Starting tomorrow, I'm going to go back into doing exercise videos daily. I'm also going to be starting to push my steps. I want to push myself back up to trying to do at least 10,000 a day. And I don't feel like that's too much. I mean, and I'll evaluate it as it happens. And like I said, I'm going to be shifting a lot of that content over the Instagram and just be doing more videos like these where I just talk on Mondays. And we'll see how that goes. Like I said, these videos have never performed well. And so I don't expect to attract a bunch of new subscribers to a Vanlife channel talking about my weight loss / health and fitness journey. Another thing that has just made it really hard for my particular journey is sort of the exercise debate. For a while, I was heavily concentrating on what I was doing for exercise in these videos, and people were like, well, it's obviously not working. Again, I already feel like a failure. I'm already looking at myself in videos and not seeing, it working. So again, this voice is really loud, and so it's like, you need to change your diet. And what annoys me is that's the first freaking thing I did. I mean, I did all of the common sense stuff. I was like, okay, you need to stop eating Taco Bell all the time, which I was just doing because it was convenient and cheap, and it's hard to cook in a van. I don't have a full kitchen, so that temptation, even more so than in a house, because when I lived in a house, food prep was easy. The last time I successfully lost the weight before gaining it again, it was because I had access to a kitchen. I had enough room to do meal prep. Nothing was in my way of prepping food and therefore not having to think about getting food in a different way. So it wasn't even about cravings or I like Taco Bell better than what's in the kitchen. It's about my kitchen situation being so limited that going to Taco Bell when I wanted a hot meal felt like just tons easier. And so what I've been navigating is that situation. So it's not like I wasn't thinking about food. The first thing I knew I had to do was really look at how much food I was eating. And so being attacked like that, one thing I do get defensive about, I'm not confident about a lot of things about myself. I'm confident in my intelligence. In fact, my biggest problem, or some of my problem, may in fact be that I'm not a stupid person. I know what a calorie is. I know what a macronutrient is. I know, I understand how food works and how it works in the body. And so being treated like I don't, as if the education is a problem, sometimes does make me defensive, because it's not a lack of education, it's the accessibility to execute it. And on top of that, I really get super defensive when people say things like, well, you could exercise less and do this thing instead. Or I have a solution where you don't have to exercise, comes off as an accusation that I don't like exercise, which is so blatantly untrue, I get annoyed by it. On top of that, I have yet to see a person who had successful weight loss that did not incorporate some type of movement. And I feel like it's a part of diet culture, and destructive diet culture, to try to sell you can eat as much as you want and still lose weight, or you can lose weight and you won't even have to exercise. Those are diet culture lines that are selling to people who don't want to believe in the work they have to do to lose weight or get fit or whatever it is. They're not fat, but they want to, lose weight in certain body parts or certain areas, or whatever. Or the assumption that fat people are lazy. That's what it really feels like it's feeding into, or that fat people are struggling. And I feel like I have a reasonable idea of how much activity I can handle, how to pace it at a level that I can handle, and I am not averse to the fact that exercise is going to be a part of this journey. I also am doing this so I can do more things that are physical. Like, I would love to do CrossFit one day. Like, I look at CrossFit and I'm like, man, that's so bad, man, but I could not do that right now. And I'd love to get to a point where, you know what? Yep, I'm going to try CrossFit, because I think CrossFit is like the coolest thing I've ever seen. On top of that, I bought a folding bike, but I don't see that as my long-term bike. I see that as my transitional bike. Like, I loved biking when I was a kid, and I wasn't into like a lot of sports or a lot of like physical things. A lot of people have suggested the jump rope. Honestly, I didn't even like jump roping when I was a kid, and on top of that, I am a larger person, and one thing I do have difficulty with is jumping. And honestly, it has more to do with my boobs than anything else. Like, it's not about joint pain. Like, I have not found a secure thing for these boobs, you know, and I've been trying, and it hurts. They are a lot of weight that needs to be controlled if I'm going to be jumping. I mean, that's just the way it is. It hurts to have these things bouncing around. And so, like, and that wasn't even the case when I was little. I wasn't even really into jump roping when I was little. So I don't see me being into it as an adult. I'm sorry, everyone who suggested that. But I loved riding my bike when I was little. Like, one of my, like, greatest joys as a kid was riding a bike, and not even competitively, not in a race, just riding it for fun. And so, like, I would love to one day, like, really get into mountain biking, you know, or something like that. You know, get a real serious bike in the future. But right now, it's kind of just a starter bike. And to be able to do that faster, longer, stronger, I do believe, like, gaining some weight loss and fitness is going to help with that. And so when people think they're giving me a gift by offering me something where exercise is reduced or not involved, I'm like, my main goal is to do things that maybe people define as exercise or activity more, not less. So why would I want to reduce what I'm completely capable of right now? And so I get really defensive when people come to me like I'm looking for that, or like I'm a type of person I'm not. And I can't help it. I'm probably overly defensive about it, but you know, I'll admit to that particular flaw. So that's sort of the second problem, is like, people look at me and deciding that the way to sell me on their weight loss solution is to either say you can eat a lot of food, as if like I'm malnourishing myself and don't understand nutrition, or I have a solution where you wouldn't have to exercise as much. And I'm like, my whole goal is more activity, and to be able to do more activity more often for longer. Like, that is a part of my goal. And so when you're coming at me like, you're gonna love this because I can take some of that away from you, I'm like, why? Why is this your sell even? And so, as you can tell, I have a lot of problems with that. Let's move on. So going back to the food discussion, my other problem is a struggle with the word diet. Because when I say I'm modifying my diet, or I'm changing my diet, or I'm trying new things with my diet, I always found myself backing away from that word, because I feel like people don't understand where I'm coming from. I'm not saying diet as this temporary thing that you do. Like, diet in the dictionary, I'm recording on my phone right now, so I can't look it up. But a diet is just what you eat. Like, when you go to the vet and you take your pet, is he still up there? He's sleeping. Like, when you take your pet to, like, the vet and something's wrong, like they're having diarrhea, they would be like, okay, so what's their diet like? And so when I'm using the word diet, I'm very much talking about my long-term plan of eating, not this temporary plan that I'm on to lose weight. Because I'm definitely pursuing what I will do forever, not what I'm going to do to lose weight. What I'm going to do forever to be healthy. And, like, there's this constant balance of what do I need, and especially now, what I'm really thinking about is, what do I need to change to serve the fact that I am not at maintenance yet? Like, at the end of the day, I'm not at maintenance yet. I'm very much in a loss phase, and I am trying to lose, and I'm trying to back away from the fear of saying that out loud, especially because we're in a world that the body positivity sort of health at every size movement has gotten really twisted, and to the point it's wrong to say I want to lose weight, or because if you do, you're feeding into diet culture and all these other things, and that might not be like your reason. Like I'm 41 years old. Like, I'm not trying to look like a 22-year-old supermodel. Can you be a supermodel at 22 years old? Does it even matter anymore? It seems like Instagram models are more popular now that we're kind of getting away from the catalog and magazine industry. But that's a diversion. Like, I don't expect to look like a 22-year-old supermodel. So that's not what this is about. And the word diet is just so tainted. It's a really hard word to use, even when you're using it properly as what you are eating. And so, like, once you say it in a video, then somebody's also trying to sell you on, I know a way you won't have to diet. Well, you always have a diet. like it's what you eat. The other thing is, I do recognize sort of some flaws from my own past. I am pescatarian. No, it's not a religion. For people who don't know what that is, you're mostly a vegetarian, but you still eat seafood. And I gave up meat as far as like pork, beef, chicken, turkey, all of that. I gave it up in high school, and I have not gone back. And I'm not really that drawn to going back. Like, I don't miss burgers. I don't care about bacon. I don't think I ever did. Like, people seem to love bacon. I literally don't care. Chicken's not that big of a deal. I remember there was a point where my mom thought, oh, this will get her back to eating meat. And so chicken, I like there's no other bird that's really that interesting to me. I've gone back and forth on seafood, mostly because there was a protein problem. I mean, like, when you just say, I'm going to stop eating meat, you immediately create a protein problem if you didn't have pre-existing protein in your diet. Again, there's that word diet. So if you didn't have pre-existing protein in your diet, you immediately create a problem. And I didn't know this at the time. At the time, I was giving up meat for other reasons that I'm not going to get into in this video. And I have no plans or desire to go back to eating meat. I will never eat meat again unless it's forced down my throat. Unless you believe seafood is meat and all of that. I'm not saying seafood doesn't have a mother. But as far as things that are not seafood, unless it was forced down my throat, I would not eat it. I have no interest in eating it. I don't want it back. I tried to be a vegan and failed. So I don't know that veganism is for me. And I will say, initially, the problem with going vegetarian, I will say, especially in the last even 20 to 30 years, is there are a lot of meat substitutes. And the thing is, I didn't know any better. Like, you know, I only had the format of eating that I had been taught. And so it's like, okay, I don't eat regular burgers anymore, but here are these veggie burgers, and I can still eat 2 of them, 2 veggie cheeseburgers. Because again, I wasn't vegan, so I'm still eating cheese. So I can have these 2 veggie cheeseburgers, and French fries aren't like, they're a vegetable. They're not meat. and I can put them in a, I can fry them. I didn't know any other way to cook them. So I didn't even think, I think it would have been different if I had become a vegetarian as weight loss or like as a health goal, but that wasn't why I did it. And so I just literally just subbed out, things I was eating that were meat, or I dropped things that were meat. I just stopped eating them. But that didn't stop you from eating like a whole bowl of macaroni and cheese. In fact, I ate more macaroni and cheese because like when my mom made dinner on Sunday and it was like fried chicken, macaroni and cheese, and like string beans out of a can, I ate more macaroni and cheese, some extra string beans, and just didn't eat the chicken. And so there wasn't like, oh, well, now I'm going to add more like healthy greens. Now I'm going to put in, healthy substitutes for protein. And there's nothing wrong with like the Morning Star and the Boca burgers and all of that. But if you're literally just swapping out like, a regular burger for a Boca, but you're still eating it in more than one serving, or still making a double burger with like veggie bacon, your calories might go down a little bit, but it's still overall not really solving like the big problem, which is why like it doesn't matter. Like people have also offered sort of the substitutions for snacks. They're like, oh well, if you go to like Whole Foods or whatever, like they have healthy cookies and healthy cinnamon rolls and healthy donuts, and literally these things solve no problem if volume is your issue. If you yet don't have the faculties to stop at one, if you go get a dozen like healthy donuts from Whole Foods and you eat the whole thing. I don't think I've ever eaten a dozen, but I've definitely done a 2 or 3. It doesn't change anything. So like I don't do, alternative cookies. I don't do alternative donuts. I don't do alternative like cinnamon rolls and all these other things, because at the end of the day, if you're still having issues with like volume and over snacking, switching it to a different kind may provide like a small reduction. And Mickey, you're going to just steal everybody from the video. But they aren't going to like solve the larger issue, which is volumes and portion. And the easiest thing for me to do is just like, if I want a cinnamon roll, I'm going to just go get one from Cinnabon. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't make really that big of a difference in the grand drawing. And what I really want to do is be a better vegetarian. And I'm saying that in the way that I'm still going to be pescatarian. I don't see me giving up seafood in the near future, but I want to make that like something I do every once in a while. Right now, I really do lean on seafood a lot to leave protein in things. Like I love those tuna packs, and I don't know that I'll ever get rid of that. Because I just don't know that I'm interested in getting rid of that. But getting a little closer to a vegetarian diet that actually has more vegetables is something I want to do, but I don't know how to do it, to be quite honest. It's still something I'm educating myself on. Just saying add more vegetables. What does that mean to actually making food, and actually making food under the limitations of my lifestyle? I don't know. I'm figuring it out, but I know I can't just go buy an eggplant and a squash and have it for dinner. And so figuring out what that actually means when it comes to executing meals is just a little bit of a journey. And when I talk about it and then use the word diet, I feel like people are going to lean too much on the fact that I'm calling it a diet when I'm just talking about my diet as a whole. And the whole thing about diet and using the word diet is it's just a struggle. So this video is getting pretty long, and I meant for it to be more concise. So let's jump into this last one, my number 4, which is, honestly, I don't fear death. I've been watching a lot more weight loss journey videos on YouTube, people who have lost a lot of weight, people are in the process of a journey, a lot more than I used to the point when I turn on YouTube, some of my top suggestions are some of those people as opposed to like Vanlife, or even some of my little, like my nerd channels, as I like to call them. Those videos are popping up more frequently. And 2 people who have really stood out just because I like their content is Jordan Shrinks and Obese to Beast. Both of them lost over 100 pounds. They did it naturally, without any weight loss surgery. Not that there's anything wrong with that. And they both did it through a lot of common sense dieting. Jordan Shrinks I can really relate to because she was a vegetarian. And she was a vegetarian before she started losing weight. So again, just being a vegetarian doesn't provide any like magical automatic solution. And she decided to go vegan. And just listening to her, I'm like, well, maybe I won't go vegan, but maybe there are some changes I can make to get me closer to a healthy vegetarianism, even though I'm pescatarian. I'm not denying my pescatarianism, but to get me a little bit closer to healthy relationship with sort of vegetarian meals and vegetarian dieting. A lot of her content makes me think about sort of how I'm switching my mind on that. Obese to Beast in general, I just like the way he also talks about common sense dieting, and the basics, and not making it too complicated. I really like those two. But both of them lost their weight when they were in their 20s. And when I was younger, I was able to knock off weight fast when I had, everything in order, a safe place to live, which I haven't always had. When I had a safe and secure place to live, when I wasn't disturbing other people when I was exercising, and that was a problem, like with roommate situations, is like the best way for me to exercise was to get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning and do it before I did anything else. And when I had roommates who were sleeping at 6 o'clock in the morning, it was like they wanted to support my journey, but they also thought like, this was a problem. And so I would try to adjust to that. And so like I wasn't able to do what was optimally good for me because I had to serve the living situation or the peace in the house or or stuff like that. The point being, when I was younger, like I knocked out a significant amount of weight. Like I've never gotten skinny, but I've lost up to 50 pounds before. Usually something happened. I didn't have the same housing situation. I was in roommate situations where things I did to make things work for me were ultimately inconvenient to the household. Things like prepping food, taking up too much space in the refrigerator. Long stories with a lot of intricacies that I'm not going to get into, but it definitely led to yo-yo weight gain and loss. But I was younger. When I was younger, I was able to be more effective in weight loss. And it might be just that I've gotten older, and so it's getting more difficult. There may be something medically wrong with me. I don't know. I really don't know. But Obese to Beast and Jordan Shrinks were both in their 20s. They decided they wanted to lose weight, and compared to how it's going for me, it happened. I'm sure they didn't feel like it going through it, but listening to what their timeline was, it seemed like it went pretty quickly and effectively for them. And it hasn't been so for me. But also, both of them were very afraid of dying young, quote unquote, because Obese to Beast always talked about, thinking he wasn't going to be alive, by the age of 40 or something like that. And I'm like, I'm 41. So when he talks about things like that, it's really hard to relate to. He talks about having all these physical problems due to his weight, at a rather young age. I honestly never went through that. Like, I don't even remember having a lot of joint pain when I was younger. Like when I start an exercise program, I usually have muscle soreness like right at the beginning, and then it goes away rather quickly if I keep going. So I didn't really experience a lot of that. And on top of that, I am not afraid of dying. Like, I accepted my mortality a long time ago, that something is going to kill me. Like, that was the only thing that was guaranteed that was going to happen the day I was born, is that someday I would be dead. And so I can also get really annoyed, and this goes back to my triggers, when people come at you with the diabetes thing. And that's not because diabetes isn't a possibility. Yeah, I could be pre-diabetic right now. I could be diabetic right now. Actually, I don't know. I probably couldn't. I'd probably know if I was a diabetic right now, but I could be pre-diabetic right now, and I literally wouldn't know. And half of that comes from the fact that I have not had steady medical insurance for most of my adult life. So the fact is, there's a lot of stuff that could kill me. And there's really nothing I can do about it because I can't change the situation I'm in. I am vulnerable to everything. So it's hard to be like scared of things specifically related to weight loss because like I don't have access to regular medical care, because I can't afford regular medical care, because I've had like a wavering access to health care, health insurance. And like, honestly, I live in fear, not of dying from a preventable disease, but of finding out I have something, needing to further pursue it, and what those medical bills are going to cost, because what I've spent the last few years doing is digging myself out of debt. And there's a part of me, it sounds really horrible, but there's a part of me is like, it would be easier to die than put myself back in debt for medical bills. So if something immediately kills me, that's not necessarily a problem. That sounds so horrible. And I talked about this a little bit in my live, is like, I was in a pretty dark place, that I'm trying to get myself out of, where I just thought it wouldn't be a big deal, you know, if I was taken from this earth. And this is a really hard thing to put in this video. But it kind of overlaps, and a lot of my humor about it, is to stay away from the sadness of feeling that way. So the thing is, I can't use fear of death as a motivation in this journey, like, at all, because I feel like I could die from a number of things. Like, I could get an infection in my tooth, and because I can't afford to go to a dentist, that infection could spread and kill me. And I recognize, like, this is a factor in my existence, in the financial limitations of my existence, is that I don't have access to proper medical care, and I honestly don't know the last time I actually saw a doctor. I don't feel like anything is wrong with me, but that doesn't mean anything is. I'm vulnerable to everything on this planet, both related to and unrelated to weight. But if I can eliminate something that's slowing down parts of my life I enjoy, I at least can work on changing that. And maybe that's been some of the struggle is that maybe in some ways it would be better if I feared, like, diabetes or death or anything like that. I don't think, like, I'm going to become immobile, because, like, I'm not in a house, and, like, there's certain things I have to get up and do every day. So, like, my fear that, like, I'll end up, like, my 600-pound life size, I just don't see that as a reality. But I do want to live better in the things I enjoy doing. And that's sort of my motivation, is that I want to make the things I enjoy better. I want to be able to do them better. I want to feel like I'm able to do the things I enjoy. I want to go on hikes with friends, and I don't do that as much because I worry about keeping up. Yeah, I mean, like, that's the kind of stuff I want to do, you know? And if I'm going to continue being here for as long as I'm here, I want to be able to do those things. When it ends is irrelevant to me. But if I get to do more of those things between now and whenever it is the end of life comes, I'm really ending this video on a freaking dark note. I feel like a lot of things I just keep buried, keep digging themselves up in these videos. But whenever life ends, whenever that is, I want to know I did my best to live the best life possible. And I feel like if I had not made a move to start losing weight when I was over 300 pounds, and I know there's nothing impressive about how this looks right now, but if I had not made a move to start losing weight when I saw it advancing at the rate it was, I would have continued at least to be in a problematic place that was reducing my ability to do the things I love to do with other people, if that makes any sense. Because I can go on a hike by myself because I can pace it to me, and I'd like to get to a place where I don't feel I'm limiting somebody else by wanting to go on a hike with them. And I'm just using hiking as an example. There's other activities I would like to enjoy with other people. I still have not been to a Disney. I haven't been to a Disney in California. Now, mind you, because of COVID, it's closed anyway. I haven't been to a Disney in Florida. And I like to go to a Disney. But I'd like to go to a Disney knowing that I can fit in the rides. And like I have no fear of that as I approach rides. And when that got taken away from me, it's just something I always gravitate back to, because then I felt like a burden to the people that I was with. And so I think like that memory keeps sticking out in my mind, like being at this amusement park. I didn't have a problem walking around all day. I didn't have a problem like with any of that. It was just like not fitting in these rides. And then on top of that, I did, recently, in recent history, I'm mumbling over things right now, go on long walks with people and feel like they could go faster than me. And maybe I'll always be slow. Like I've never been a fast person. I'm not even into going fast. Yeah. I don't know. That's it. I don't know if fear of your own mortality or fear of the diabetes actually motivates you to be more vigilant in fighting the evil diabetes. But it's just not something I worry about. It's not something I'm scared of. Like yeah, death's gonna happen. I'm gonna die. Like I'm not preventing death. I may be preventing death from a specific thing, but it's not like I can prevent death anyway. Like I could get up in the morning tomorrow, walk out the door and get stabbed. But if I don't, like if that doesn't happen, what am I doing to have the best life possible? And that's sort of why I keep doing this, even though like it's hard. And like I said, these videos are the worst performing videos on the channel because they belong in a whole different category. But for me, they are part of my van life, because like the fact that I'm on this journey while living in a van with financial limitations, it makes my journey just a little bit different. And so without the van life, there's something missing from the story. And I don't know. I don't even know where I'm going with that. Let's wrap this video up. It's already too long.